Previous video, we talked about benefits in the nervous system available through headstand. And a lot of those benefits come from putting the top of the head on the floor, but specifically this part of the head. What we're looking for is where the frontal bone and the two parietal bones meet, putting that suture directly on the floor. So at first you may look at this and think, well, how do I ever tell where that point is? It's actually quite straightforward. Whether you're sitting or standing right now, find the very highest point of your head, and then exactly 2 finger widths in front of that. Very reliably, it's going to be that suture. And very often people report that they actually feel a little bit of an indent where those bones come together. I know a lot of teachers like to teach this technique right here. It's not the worst technique, but it's not nearly as accurate as finding that highest point, 2 finger widths in front, that point right there. Other relevant points of contact are going to be the ulnar wrist points. One of my teachers, Donna Hulleman, she shared this with me a number of years ago, that this part right here, ulnar wrist point, is significant in helping to anchor and root into the earth. So where my finger is right here, I can actually feel the bony prominence itself. And that's going to be the distal end of the ulnar bone, or the ulnar wrist point. On the skeleton, it's going to be this point right here, that we're looking to plant this spot very deliberately, very steadily, right up against the ground. So 3 primary points of contact in rabbit pose. The 2 ulnar wrist points, left and right, along with the crown of the head at that suture point. So transitioning into rabbit pose, first step is to find the ulnar wrist points. And I slightly tip my hand back so I can feel that ulnar wrist point, and I press it into the floor. Then I do the same thing with the other hand, then interlacing the hands. And the interlace of the hands creates a cup shape that the back of the head places into. And then I take a moment to find that exact point we located earlier. And here we have rabbit pose. And then for those that like a little bit more challenge, you could explore lifting the legs up like this right here. And if you like even more challenge, you can explore walking the feet in a little bit closer in. So very dynamically, ulnar wrist points press into the floor, crown of the head opens into the floor, and there's a lifting dynamic, hips going up toward the ceiling. As I set up for headstand against a wall, I have my knuckles just a few inches away from the wall. Then starting with rabbit pose, moving into rabbit deluxe, and then kicking one leg at a time up to the wall. If you can take both legs up without tensing the neck, without gripping in the hands and the knuckles, without tensing the chest, feel free. But there's absolutely no problem going up one leg at a time. Coming down, and counter pose to headstand is child's pose. So headstand freestanding, it's the same progression, rabbit pose, rabbit deluxe, and alternating legs. So one leg goes up one day, other leg goes up the other day. And that's a nice way to cultivate balance in the body. Then coming down, the reverse of how you entered the pose. And again, child's pose, counter pose.